Well, hello everyone and welcome to today's lunchtime live session as part of Connection Week here at the University of Suffolk. I'm Sarah Westwood and I'm Development Director here, and I'm really pleased to welcome you to this week-long celebration of our alumni community. Throughout the week there are lots of activities going on online and in person, and you can find the full programme on the Connection Week webpage. And I hope you'll join in when you can, wherever you are in the world. There's still a couple of days to go before the end of the week. This session is being recorded, and whether you're joining us live or watching afterwards, you're very welcome. If you are watching us live, this is an interactive session, and we encourage you to send in questions through the platform you're viewing on. If we can't answer your question today, then our alumni relations team will make sure we send an answer to you afterwards. So today we're talking about the power of giving. And we're going to explore the difference that donations make to our university, and what some of the common myths are about how universities are funded and why, and also talk about why people might choose to support higher education. And I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by Simon Dukes. Simon gained an MBA here at Suffolk and is now CEO of the charity Fair for You. And he's also a donor to the university. Thank you very much indeed, Simon, for your generosity.
Thank you.
We've also got Natasha Hodby, who's a member of the development team here with special responsibility for fundraising. Simon, thank you again for your support. If we can start with you, can you tell us about your experience of studying here at the University of Suffolk and what difference that made to you, and then where life and your career took you after that?
Well, thank you, Sarah and Natasha, and thank you for inviting me. So it was 15 years ago, actually, when I completed my MBA at Suffolk. And at the time, I was working as a civil servant in London and living in Manningtree, and one of those commuters, daily commuters. I remember those. I guess I'd been in the civil service for quite a few years, 15 years or so, and I wanted to expand and broaden my mind, and I was looking at various opportunities to do that. And I think there was pressure on me a bit to probably study an MPA, a Master of Public Administration, in Westminster. But I wanted to do something that was more business oriented, and I wanted to do something that was closer to home. And Suffolk, looking at the prospectus, Suffolk really did tick the boxes for me. So I had a really enjoyable time studying that. Perhaps we can, perhaps talk about what that involved later on. But after 4 years of completing the MBA, I then decided to leave the civil service, actually, because I think one of the things that studying an MBA taught me was that the transferable aspects of what I knew and what I'd learned gave me the confidence to look to other sectors and different roles. And as you say, I left, and I'm now running my third national not-for-profit social enterprise. This time in ethical lending, but before that I was working in community pharmacy representation, and before that was in economic crime prevention. So varied career, but very much enjoyed the time that I had with Suffolk, and the exposure that it gave me to people from local and more national and international businesses, and of course in a variety of different sectors as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. That's really interesting. So presumably you were a mature student, as many of our students are, and also commuting onto campus. How
yes, not as mature as I am now, but certainly yes. And I guess I was probably one of the oldest in the intake. But there were, I was a manager in the civil service, and there were other managers on the course with me, from retail, from engineering, manufacturing, telecoms, health, and so all at sort of, I guess, that aspect of their lives where they wanted to develop more and get more insight into aspects of business, whether it's leadership, whether it's business theory, whether and I think that that's certainly what the MBA gave me and gave others during the time with you.
So it sounds like the course and your experience here at Suffolk, although you were working at the same time, by the sound of it, sort of, as you say, opened your eyes to other opportunities, inspired. I mean, you're already working in public service, but it inspired a more of a focus into charitable work. Is that a fair summary? Would you like to tell us more about that shift?
I think so. It's I mean, there are the transferable aspects of leadership, of running a business or a department or whatever it might be, managing an aspect of a business perhaps, and those are transferable to lots of different sectors, from the one that you might be in, but also in different roles as well. And so I'm lucky enough to leave the civil service and become a chief executive of 3 different organizations. But equally, that could have been in, running or heading up a particular department or a particular business function. And I think that, yes, I went into social enterprises and not-for-profits. I think that was more from my values perspective. And I think in thinking back on it, picking Suffolk, the values of the University of Suffolk also chimed with me, that sort of inclusivity and the tolerance of others. And I think that really squared with me and the time I'd spent in the civil service as well.
Yeah, I mean that's a very interesting observation, because it is one of the things that I love about the university is that we are founded with the express mission to widen participation in education, to raise aspirations, and to really contribute to the local community, but communities more broadly, and that resonates very strongly with me and also with you, by the sound of it. So yes, thank you for observing that. And as an alumnus, have you kept in touch? Well, you're still in touch with us now, I'm delighted to say, joining us today. But are you still in touch with your fellow students from those days? How does that work?
Certainly via LinkedIn. I think several of them via LinkedIn. Again, it's one of those. I think the great thing about LinkedIn, from my perspective, is it is a living address book. And even though I may not be in regular contact with people that I did my MBA with, at least I know where they are as they move to different businesses and industries and in different roles. And as and when, great thing about networking, as and when you think that they might be useful to you or you to them, then you can contact them. So I think there's that still exists. But I think, inevitably you diverge and you go into different parts of the world and parts of industry and business, and lose contact. That's the same with any aspect of, I guess, the university life.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And of course, Connection Week is a way of bringing
it back together.
Yeah, bringing us back together and creating a platform for people to do that, because we are now a global community of alumni, which is wonderful. And one of our priorities is to expand internationally. So Simon, you, as I mentioned, you very generously supported the university over quite a long period of time. What was it that made you decide to take that step?
Because I can. I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford to provide, to give some money, not very much, but I guess I also of the view that if you had lots of people like me giving small amounts, that would amount to a significant sum. And also, my wife is an academic, albeit in the US university, and there the concept of giving, alumni giving, is very strong, and I think that's squared with me too, that we don't seem to do that as much here now. I won't go into the politics of whether or not, and the rights and wrongs of state funding and of public funding of education, and whether it should happen. And I'm very conscious that when I did my first degree many years ago, I was lucky enough to have funding now, and many students doing their first degree now have huge debts as a result. And I do appreciate that that's an enormous strain that I didn't have. But I think that if we can all provide something back to an institution that's given us so much in terms of breadth of understanding, then it helps others coming through who may not be as fortunate.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you again for doing that. I think it's very generous of you, because even though you feel that you can, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will. So thank you very much. And actually, what you're saying touches on some of the myths that I mentioned at the beginning about how universities are funded. And I think it's possibly not that well known that we no longer receive any government funding. The only income we have is through tuition fees. Although they're very welcome and obviously quite costly to the students who accumulate debt, they don't enable us to. They enable us to keep going as we are. But if we want to advance, if we want to do more, then additional funding is really, really helpful. And Tash, if I can bring you in there, perhaps you can tell us about some of the priority areas for the university to fundraise for. What do we really need help with, and perhaps give us some examples of where we've fundraised successfully.
Yeah, of course. So as you said earlier, Sarah, the University of Suffolk was created to widen participation in higher education. So before we were created, there was no university in Suffolk. And as a result of that, Suffolk as a county had one of the lowest participation rates in higher education in the country. So we were established to change that, and we're delighted to welcome students from a diverse range of backgrounds. So, for example, 68% of our students come from low-income families. And as you mentioned, it does cost students a lot to come to universities. One of our main funding priorities is ensuring that coming to the university is accessible. And we do that, a massive part of that, through fundraising for a number of different types of things, which include bursaries and a lot of work around careers, because students want to graduate and go on to have fulfilling and interesting careers, and our careers team are here to support them with that, and we always want to go the extra mile. So ages ago, Simon, potentially when you were here yourself, we funded what we called a micro placement for a couple of students who were really struggling to secure employment. So they got to go and do some work experience through this donation funded scheme. And it went so well that now, many years later, it's fully included in the university calendar. We have many micro placements every single year, giving the opportunity for students to gain vital work experience and put on their CV and help them with their career. That's just one example. There's many more, but a great one is we funded sports scholarships to help those who wanted to get into sport, a very competitive area. And one of our recipients was a fantastic woman called Jazz, who is a telemark skier and has recently become the most successful skier in British history. And she came here and got a donation-funded scholarship. So yes, we're making a lot of difference thanks to donations.
Yeah, thank you, Tash. That's a really, really interesting summary, and that story of the telemark skier is quite. I mean, I have to confess, I didn't know what telemark skiing was until I met that really talented young woman, and she won a Suffolk Salutes Award last year, I recall.
Yes, she did. So last year we launched Suffolk Salutes, which is an alumni award scheme, and it has recently launched again this year. So alumni can nominate fellow alumni to receive an award. So we're looking for alumni who are doing excellent things, have gone above and beyond, since they've graduated.
Yeah, and I think it's that's a good example of how innovative the University of Suffolk is. I think we because we are a young university, we're not constrained by hundreds of years of tradition, and we can do different things. And one of the things that we are fundraising for at the moment is our new esports degree, which is again was new to me when I came to Suffolk. It's responding to a need for local employers, whereby esports is now a really huge industry, need people to work in it, and we're just establishing a degree that's launching this year to train the workforce to work in esports. Are you aware of esports, Simon? Are you kind of
aware of it, but that's about as far as it goes. But I think
not an active participant, perhaps.
I'm not. No, I'm sad to say. But I think that the different types of job that will that exist today that didn't even 15 years ago when I did my MBA, and looking forward in 15 years' time, jobs that will exist that we can't even contemplate right now. And I think that the great thing about the university is, as you say, that innovative outlook and its ability to be agile in providing tuition and courses to fill those gaps, because that's exactly what you should be doing. And I was going to just sort of say also that it's very easy to talk about, well, not easy, but it's easy to focus on the local area. And you said about there was the university, it was low take-up university in Suffolk before the University of Suffolk came along. But working in a world where social impact and social value is so important, your equivalent, the sort of gross value added that the university provides, not just in Suffolk, not just in East Anglia, but across the UK, and presumably also now soon to be worldwide, is really significant. Thousands, tens of thousands of jobs that have been filled by graduates from this university. That's an amazing benefit to the economy of the UK as well. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Simon. Yes, I mean that is we did as you know, we did an economic impact report a couple of years ago, and the figures were really extraordinary, and we're able to quantify that. And there's also the sort of less things that perhaps much more difficult to quantify, which like the knowledge transfer and the research that we do here, which I think perhaps may surprise people, that we have one of the best history departments in the UK, and a really thriving creative writing course. So we continue to innovate and surprise, I think, in good ways. I mean, just going back, Simon, to your experience here as a commuting student and a mature student, one of the things that we are aiming to do is to sort of improve our students' experience when they're here, because a lot of our students are local. They tend to save costs by staying at home and commuting in, which means that they don't get the full student experience of being on campus and the nightlife. And so we're putting a lot of work into improving the campus and making more spaces for students. I mean, do you remember that from your days here? I mean, different.
Well, I would. My time with you straddled the move to the new the waterfront building. And of course, we were in that rather grotty high rise across the road. It wasn't that grotty, but it seemed it compared with the new one. And I do remember that. I remember, of course, the and being able to then just go around to walk to various bars after class and after courses. So, but of course, we also had time away in Boston in the USA as part of the MBA. I don't know if that's still the case, and at the University of Suffolk in Boston, or Suffolk University, I should say, in Boston. So we did get a bit of the traditional student experience during that week or so while we were there. Yeah,
good, excellent. That's good to hear. Well, our alumni will hear more about that project as it evolves. The campus project here, involving moving the library and creating a bigger space where the student union is at the moment. So we think that's going to be quite transformative for our campus and for our students. So watch the space, everybody, for more about that. I think we don't have any questions, I don't think. So I think we can draw to close there. And is there anything you wanted to add, Tash, from your point of view on?
Yeah, of course. I think it's just sharing ways in which anyone can donate to the University of Suffolk. So like Simon was saying, that even if it feels like just a little bit, actually everything adds up and makes a huge difference. The examples I gave come from a number of small donations building up and really helping to transform students' lives. So you can donate one-off, you can donate monthly, and do visit our website. But if you just want to have a chat with us, email us at giving@uos.ac.uk, which come up on screen, and we'd love to just have a conversation with you about what you'd like your money to go towards.
Yeah. Thank you, Tash, and thank you ever so much, Simon. Lovely to see you here. And thank you everyone for watching, whether that's live or in the future, and come back and see us again soon. Thank you. Goodbye for now.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.